in a serene suburban neighborhood where the houses were adorned with white picket fences and the sounds of children's laughter drifted through the air, lived Daniel and Lucy Harrison. They had built a life together full of comfort and success, but it was gradually becoming apparent that their relationship was slipping through their fingers. Daniel, an ambitious lawyer, found himself working late more often than not, sacrificing family dinners and weekend getaways for the demands of his job. Lucy, a dedicated mother of two, was increasingly feeling the weight of raising their children alone, her hopes of rekindling romantic dinners fading into the clutter of daily errands and school runs. To help manage the household, they hired Mia, their new nanny, a bright, spirited woman in her 20s, with a contagious smile and a gentle nature. Mia took the children under her wing as though they were her own, introducing them to games, crafts, and adventures. Soon, the house was filled with the joyful noise of children playing and laughter once more. At first, Daniel barely noticed Mia. His mind was consumed with work, but one afternoon, he came home early to find Mia and the children in the backyard. They had set up a small tent, and inside, the children were giggling as Mia told them stories of brave knights and wondrous lands. He stood silently by the door, watching their happiness emanate like sunlight through the trees. In that moment, he felt a warmth spreading within him, something he had not felt in a long time. As weeks turned into months, Daniel found himself drawn to Mia's vivacious spirit. Their conversations stretched beyond the mundane updates of the day's activities. They discussed books, movies, and their dreams, laughter flowing freely. With Mia, Daniel rediscovered joy. She sparked something alive in him, something he had buried beneath the responsibilities of adulthood. Lucy noticed the change in Daniel. He was more relaxed, laughing more freely, but she also felt a twinge of jealousy towards the bond forming between him and Mia. Initially, she brushed it off, convincing herself it was harmless admiration. But as time passed, she couldn't shake the feeling that their nanny was becoming more important to him than she ever was. One evening, while putting the kids to bed, Daniel and Mia shared a moment. She was helping him tuck in his daughter, and their hands brushed as they adjusted the covers. They exchanged glances that lingered a little too long, and Daniel's heart raced. In that instant, he recognized the forbidden attraction that had blossomed between them. It frightened him. Conflicted, Daniel attempted to suppress his feelings, focusing on his marriage and family. He initiated romantic evenings with Lucy, hoping to rekindle their spark, but it often ended in awkward silence. The distance between them had grown too wide. Meanwhile, Mia continued to shine brightly in their home, her laughter ringing through the halls, pulling Daniel deeper into a confusion of emotions. One evening, after a silent dinner with Lucy, Daniel found himself sitting on the porch, staring blankly at the stars. Suddenly, Mia stepped out, bearing a bowl of ice cream she had made for him, a beaming smile on her face. She sat next to him, and he could feel her warmth radiating. Without thinking, he leaned in, resting his forehead against hers, feeling an electrifying rush. In that moment, it felt like they existed in a world of their own, one free of judgment and resentment. Mia's breath caught, and she pulled back, eyes wide with realization. This was wrong. Yet, Daniel couldn't step back either, as something inside him cried out for this connection. Days turned into weeks as Daniel grappled with his emotions. The guilt weighed heavily, and he began to understand the impact of his feelings, particularly on Lucy, who remained oblivious to the real source of her husband's turmoil. But each time they interacted, he felt a magnetic pull towards Mia, battling the boundaries of morality and loyalty. Eventually, an argument erupted between Daniel and Lucy over trivial matters. Frustrated and overwhelmed, Daniel shouted, "We're like strangers." This phrase spun in the air, heavy with truth. Later that night, unable to sleep, he found himself sitting on the porch again, but this time, Mia joined him quietly. They talked for hours about their aspirations and fears. In a moment of vulnerability, he admitted his feelings for her, feeling both terrified and relieved. Instead of recoiling, Mia stared at him with tear-filled eyes, and a silent understanding passed between them. They both wished for more, but the gravity of the situation pressed down harder than ever. Determined to set things right, Daniel decided to confront his reality. The next morning, he sat down with Lucy ahead of the day's chaos. Together, they had an honest conversation about their growing distance, revealing their fears and regrets. It was a tumultuous talk filled with tears and heartache, but it was a step towards healing. They agreed to seek couples therapy, realizing that their family deserved their best efforts, that they owed it to themselves and to their children. Meanwhile, Daniel chose not to fire Mia. Instead, he established new boundaries and asked her to help him navigate this tricky territory by providing support as a caregiver while they worked on their relationship. It wasn't easy, but they were committed to the journey, taking each day as it came, knowing that while the path forward was uncertain, they were willing to try. As the months rolled on, the warmth in their home slowly returned, transformed by a newfound respect for one another. Daniel and Lucy learned to communicate better, their marriage growing stronger, while Mia became a part of their journey as a trusted friend. Though the feelings remained complicated, Daniel understood that the essence of love comes not from mere attraction, but from connection, respect, and commitment. He had learned the importance of the choice, a choice to cherish the bond he had built with Lucy and create an environment where their family could thrive, not just survive. And thus, the three of them navigated their own paths, with Mia continuing to nurture the children, and Daniel and Lucy gradually finding their way back to each other, learning that every love story unfolds in ways unexpected but ultimately beautiful.